Hello, I'm George Gonzalez, and I'm obsessed with making games. Today is Multiplayer Monday, and the focus is RPC calls and Booleans over the network, specifically with application to enemy AI. We have set up multiple attacks and element types and variations on the same enemy AI, and it's all network. And so now we're going to test it, and I'm going to show you how all this looks in the end, and then we'll go back and actually show you the code that makes this happen. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start recording in the headset as well. Okay, I just started. Okay, and then let's start spawning some enemies. We have different variants. I think the water enemy is in here. Yeah, this is the water. And then the fire one is somewhere over here, I think, maybe. And then here. And so I forgot, I think I'm the host. So whatever you see in the screen is probably with a little bit of delay, but it's very minimal. So we'll see how it goes. You should be able to see the enemy's attack. Okay, let me check. And oh, there's an enemy stuck up there. That's what it is. Oh. And then we can, okay. Let's see where we're at. Let's grab this guy. We'll spawn a bunch of these guys. They all have different animations. This guy has double attacks, so it's a sequence of attacks. As you can tell, if we go up close, as I'm recording also, let me see. You'll be able to see them. Okay, let me see if I can get him. Okay, so let's see. It's hard to tell. They're doing the swing. Now they're doing right, left, and jump. And I can kill him. Okay, and hopefully, let me do one more. Okay, so let's see. Oh, man. I guess it's hard to tell from that distance. Right there, attack, attack. So they're attacking. And I'll probably have to cut some of these so you could see them in conjunction because I'm pulling up my headset to double check. What you can do also to test these is to have a friend play with you and see if they see the same thing that you see. That's usually what okay. That's it. Let's first find out what's wrong in here. So we have the axe/VFX handler. Let's go to the line of code first and see where exactly. So we have the neutral damage. The game object is not, it's null. So let's go in here. And I think it's on the, let's see, earth. And the VFX handler, we can see in here that we don't have a trail render. So we need the VFX is all on the wrong side. Because we changed this to be a big axe. So we need to adjust this to, let's see, here we have Axeman Earth, normal trail. The normal trail is this one. And then the elemental trail is this one. And Q, damage dealer. So we just, I forgot to assign all this stuff. And this is, oh, this is for the left. So this is in case we have a right side and a left side, and this is single wheeled yield, so we don't need it. Then the other thing is we need to make sure that these are turned off by default. So that's what was going on. It wasn't getting turned on and off. And then in here, we need to make sure we have the damage dealer. Let's see, damage weapon, it's in there. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so now let's go into the network setup that we did. How did we create? So we have the enemy, as you remember, the enemy base, and we create this NPC attack. This is what gives you, anytime it calls attack, we RPC the call and we attack. So the main thing to talk about today that I want to make clear is this RPC call. Let's say my animations are not being called and this is not happening frequently. There's a way to change this to make sure it does happen. So we're going to do this. RPC calls are not guaranteed to happen. Also, if you have a long trail of animations or a call, if you have a lot of dependencies on the RPC call, so let's say an event needs to happen, and because of that event, the game starts, for example, and you start the game with an RPC, that is not a good way to start, because when a player comes in after the fact, they won't have that RPC called. And so in order to, when you need things to be precise and always be accurate for everybody, regardless of when they join, if they join halfway through, if they are not joining halfway through, then you don't have a problem. The main thing in this game is, for example, let's say I'm attacking and a player joins. Technically, when the enemy's attacking, it's not a big deal if this RPC doesn't get called, because it's going to get called every time the enemy attacks. So the next loop, it will happen. So it's not a huge deal for me. But let's say this RPC says RPC start game, or it's very dependent on other things. The other way I could do it is I could have a network boolean in here, just like we have with the speed. We could have a network here that's a boolean, and it could say attacking. Okay, and then instead of updating speed, we do in here void update attack, and so every time it starts the attack, anytime if attacking is true, it means we switch from not attacking to attacking, and we can do all these things. Okay, so we could do all this right here, and then the attack index that's passed in here, that's what I created so that we could create different attack animations, and I'll show you that in a second. But we could do in here, where's the attack index? We could say networked, and this one doesn't networked bool. What did we say? Oh no, not bool, in attack index. Okay, so if we have this attack index, we need to get getter and setter. We'll just do it like this, and then in here, when we say npc.attack, we could say void receive player or enemies attacking is attacking or something, and so then we can say int index or attack index, and then we can say if has state authority, right? Because this is going to happen in state authority. It's not going to happen on the other part, but we'll say attack index, or this attack index equals attack index, and then we change the attacking to true, and then we would have to figure out how to do attacking set to false. I have it like when it ends, I would have to say in here, maybe do a public void and then end attack, or attack ended to say attacking false. Okay, so that's how I would do it. And then in here, we would have this right here, and this would do the same thing. And then update attack is called here. Okay, so what this does is this says anytime this network variable changes, call this function. And so when the player starts the game, okay, so when the player spawns, like let's say someone comes in late, and they do all these things, the client, then the enemy will update their attack based on this. So you could call in here, you could update attack in here, and it will update with the current variable. And if it's attacking, it will do the attack. Maybe it'll do it late, but at least it's caught up. And it doesn't, and let's say that's not there. This on change will continually happen regardless of where the other player is. So it will continue to operate regardless of what, like it will sync up with the current enemy setup, the client will. And so this is a good way to say, hey, make sure this will always guarantee that the value is the same on both the client and the enemy. I mean, the client and the state authority. So if you want to guarantee a value and a value update based on that scenario, that you want to guarantee that, hey, I want every enemy to always be on the right state, regardless of how late the player is, then you want to do this. For my, you can do this with a network variable. But for my sake, because I don't really need to do all this back and forth with the Boolean, I'm going to go back. I don't need all these enemies attacking. I don't need to update attack. So I'm going to go back. Okay, and I'm okay like this. So the RPC does its thing. And before we had this RPC attack, now we have an attack index that we set before the attack. And then we also check for mana to see if we have the mana to use. Okay, so let's go into attack index and why we're using that. It's just a minimal, this is nothing to do with the multiplayer network aspect, other than we have to give it the index so that every animation is the same. And in here, we have the animation. And we did this on the live stream. So if you want to see the whole setup, I did it on the live stream last Saturday. That's where I went over, and from beginning to end, I show how to do this. But we basically have an index. So we're just attacking and movement. It's just simple. But now we have different index for the animations. So in here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 for right, and 1, 2, 3, 4 for left. And so we could do right, left, and all kinds of stuff. So we could do dual wield, we could do singular. These are all just right and left. Even if it's a 360 attack, is with the right hand and with the left hand. So we could play around with that. So that's set up. And so that's why we need the index. And here in the parameters, we have an attack trigger and an attack an index. And that index determines what kind of attack we do. And the way we set that up is in this guard AI controller, we have attack parameters. So again, this was all done on Saturday, live stream. I did it live. So I would go code, like I just did it. And we asked, is it right-handed? Is it left? If it's not right, is left? Is it dual wield? That means we have both hands, so it doesn't matter if it's right or left. And then do we randomize the attacks, or do we create a list of attacks? And these attacks are just ints, because these are the index. So I want to say, I'm going to play either 1, I want to play 4, I want to play 3, and that's the order of the animations, which is not ideal. Yeah, you would want to have like an enum, because in here you can do a drop down and you can select which animations if you wanted to. But I already knew what 1, 2, 3, and 4. So like 1 through 4 was one side, and then 5 through 10 is the other side, right and left. So I use that. It's super simple, and all we had to add again to network it over, it was just an int. We don't have to go crazy. We just the attack index, and it'll show the attack. This makes it so I can do combos without having to worry about the network dependencies, because oftentimes you might have where you want a right left combo, and then the animation is like 20 seconds long, and in that case you're going to run into problems, because when if someone comes in halfway through the game, they're not going to see the combo because it doesn't know where it is. Whereas in this scenario, each combo is RPC'd, so the enemy will pick up wherever it left off, wherever it is. It'll sync up by the time the next animation comes, and so the player will come in and won't know, because it's not like when the player spawns, they're not, in my game at least, they're not worried about what all the enemies are doing. They just want to orient themselves where they are, and then they look around and they see the enemy. And that's where you start, you just release it, not release it, but you release a beta, or you have play testers play your game to see how this syncs up. And if these are not enough, like you can see that sometimes the RPCs fail, then you want to go back to using the network to make sure it's guaranteed. All the enemies are synced on their what the attack they're doing, and that they are actually attacking, right? Because sometimes they might not. If it's too heavy or something happens and they don't receive all the information, or there might be too many enemies, then syncing the network booleans or the network int will be worthwhile. Okay, so that's why I wanted to go over this RPC versus network variables, because you have to make a decision, and you can just test it and figure it out. But I gave you both tools, and you can see how powerful setting it up with animations and enemy AI. This is it for this is the end of the animation AI series. We went over all the setup for enemy AI, doing the animations, the damage, mana usage, everything for a working game. This is built in to work. Now, could it be better? Yes. Could it be polished? Yes. It still can be refactored and improved. Definitely. But it works. And for my scope and the things that I need, it's working wonderful. And I can now add enemies of different elements and variations, and we can still improve and do better as we go along. But for now, this meets the needs of my project. And that's the main thing that I want to share with you guys, is code and implementations that actually work for the game, right? We went over terrain that's not leveled. We fixed animation rotations, a little bit of polish here and there, added functionality to where this is physical attack. So it's not just point and shoot. If you want to look at gun, enemies that shoot with guns and aim, and so you have an upper body and a lower body rotation that's separate, I would do Zeus Academy. He has the enemies that are going around patrolling and shooting. If you want formations, you can do that. We went over in this channel about formations. It's just not something I used yet, but eventually in the future, I might use it. For example, your guys, so that they can follow you as the leader, or having enemy boss that has the patrol of minions that follow him and protect them or something. And we could do that with a formation setup. But again, we did all that. We networked it. You should be able to implement this on your own network if you wanted to. I did Fusion because that's what I know, but you can easily do the same thing for any network solution as long as you know how to create. There's always RPCs, there's always network variables in all network solutions. And it's up to you to say, okay, like how do I apply this to Mirror or Normcore or whatever, NGO, Network for Game Objects. you can do this. It just depends on what you do. And so I already know Fusion. If you have any questions, my focus now is helping you. And I will share in the next few videos. My focus is sharing things that my community is asking for or things that they're struggling with, because I have a community and game devs where I help developers one-on-one and actually help them overcome any obstacle that they have to finish their game. And so I'm going to start making videos specifically to answer those questions and focus on things that actually are happening with projects and how to solve your problems. So if you have any questions, please ask. If you don't ask, no one can answer your questions. So what is stopping you from finishing your game? And let's talk about it. See ya.